Picture this. You wake up on a random Tuesday. You check your accounts like you do every single morning, and there it is. 7 figures, $1 million. Not on paper, not someday, right now, today. And your very first instinct isn't joy, it's panic. Because in the next 5 seconds, you realize something nobody warns you about. You can't tell anyone. Not your best friend, not your parents, not your coworkers, not even the person you're dating. The second the number hits 1 million, the silence begins. This is Ron. And on this channel, we don't just talk about building wealth. We talk about what happens after you build it. So before you go any further, hit that like button and subscribe right now, because what I'm about to break down today could completely change how you think about money, privacy, and who you really trust once the number gets big. Let's get into it. Here's the thing nobody tells you when you're grinding to hit your first million. Everyone assumes the hard part is getting there. The budgeting, the investing, the side hustles, the sleepless nights, the sacrifices. And yes, that part is brutal. But almost nobody prepares you for what happens the moment you actually arrive. Because hitting $1 million doesn't just change your bank account, it changes your relationships, it changes your conversations, it changes the way you move through the world. And the strangest part, it often makes you more isolated, not less. Let's talk about why. First, let's talk about the friend problem. You've had the same core group of friends for years. You've split bills together. You've complained about rent together. You've been broke at the same restaurants, splitting appetizers because nobody could afford a full meal alone. That shared struggle is part of what bonded you. Now imagine telling that same group of friends you just crossed 7 figures. Even if they're happy for you on the surface, something shifts instantly. Conversations change. Jokes about money stop landing the same way. Suddenly you're the rich friend. Every group dinner, every vacation plan, every can you spot me moment now carries a silent weight. Are they hanging out with you or with your money? This is why so many people who hit $1 million go quiet about it. Not because they're ashamed, not because they're hiding something shady, but because the second people know, the relationship changes forever. You can't unring that bell. Once someone knows you have real money, they will never look at you exactly the same way again. Second, let's talk about family. This one is even more complicated. Family isn't optional. You can distance yourself from friends who get weird about money, but you can't exactly disappear from your own parents, siblings, or cousins. The moment family finds out about serious money, dynamics shift fast. Suddenly there's a cousin who needs help with a car payment, an uncle who has just one business idea he needs funding for, a sibling who starts comparing their life to yours, wondering out loud why you won't help more if you have so much. And here's the brutal truth. Saying no to family, when they know you have the money to say yes, is one of the most emotionally exhausting things a person can do. It's not just an awkward conversation. It's guilt, resentment, and sometimes years of tension, all triggered by one number in a bank account. This is exactly why so many high net worth individuals keep their finances locked down tighter than a vault, even from blood relatives. Not because they don't love their family, but because money without boundaries destroys relationships faster than almost anything else. Third, let's talk about dating and relationships. This one gets messy fast. If you're single and you hit $1 million, do you tell someone you're dating? If you do, how do you know they actually like you and not the lifestyle that comes with you? If you don't tell them, are you being dishonest by omission? Some people solve this by living well below their actual net worth, driving a normal car, living in a normal apartment, wearing normal clothes. Not because they're being fake, but because they've learned that flashing wealth attracts the wrong kind of attention, and hiding it protects them from people who only show interest once they find out what's really in the account. This is one of the biggest reasons the ultra-wealthy tend to date within similar financial circles. It's not snobbery, it's self-protection. When both people already have money, money stops being the variable that determines whether the relationship is real. Fourth, let's talk about the workplace. If you're still working a job after quietly building $1 million net worth, this becomes its own psychological minefield. You sit in meetings about quarterly targets and performance reviews, knowing that technically you don't need this job anymore. But you also know that saying that out loud, even once, changes how your coworkers and your boss treat you permanently. Coworkers might assume you're not a team player anymore. Management might worry you're a flight risk. Office politics shift the moment people believe you have walk-away money. So many people in this exact position choose to keep showing up, working just as hard, saying absolutely nothing, because the silence protects the professional relationships they've spent years building. Fifth, and this is the part almost nobody talks about, let's talk about the mental and emotional weight of secrecy itself. Human beings are wired to share big life moments. Getting a promotion, buying a house, having a baby. These are things you celebrate loudly with the people you love. But hitting $1 million is one of the only major life milestones that most people are conditioned to hide. That creates a strange emotional contradiction. You worked incredibly hard for this. You should be proud. But instead of celebrating, you're carefully managing who knows, how much they know, and what they might do with that information. Over time, this secrecy can create a subtle but very real form of isolation. You're surrounded by people, but there's a part of your life you can never fully share with almost any of them. This is why many people who reach this milestone eventually seek out other high net worth individuals, financial mastermind groups, or private communities, not for status, but because it's the only place they can talk openly about wealth without it changing how people see them. Sixth, let's talk about the fear of losing it. Here's something counterintuitive. A lot of people assume that once you hit $1 million, the anxiety about money disappears. It doesn't. It transforms. Instead of worrying about not having enough, you start worrying about protecting what you have. Market downturns hit differently. A 10% drop on a $100,000 portfolio is $8,000. That same 10% drop on $1 million portfolio is $100,000 gone, on paper in a single bad week. That number can trigger real panic, even in people who are objectively financially secure. This is why so many people at this level become obsessed with diversification, insurance, estate planning, and risk management. The goal shifts from build wealth to protect wealth, and that shift brings its own unique stress. Seventh, let's talk about lifestyle creep and the pressure to appear a certain way. Some people, once they hit 7 figures, feel pressure to upgrade everything. The car, the house, the vacations, the watch. Not because they necessarily want to, but because there's an unspoken expectation that if you have the money, you should be visibly enjoying it. But the smartest people who reach this milestone often do the opposite. They intentionally keep their lifestyle modest. Why? Because visible wealth invites judgment, jealousy, requests for loans, and unwanted attention from people who suddenly want to be closer to you. Staying under the radar isn't about being cheap. It's a deliberate strategy to protect peace of mind. Eighth, let's talk about who actually finds out and how they usually find out. In most cases, it's not a dramatic announcement. It's small leaks. A slightly nicer car, a house upgrade, a vacation post online, a casual comment about investments. People add these small clues together over time, and eventually someone puts the pieces together, and once one person knows, it rarely stays with just one person. Word spreads, even when nobody meant for it to. This is exactly why financial privacy experts recommend a simple rule. The fewer people who know your exact numbers, the fewer problems you'll have to manage later. This isn't about lying. It's about controlling the information on your own terms, at your own pace. Ninth, let's talk about the flip side. Some people handle this stage brilliantly. They build what's often called a financial inner circle. 1 or 2 trusted people, sometimes a spouse, sometimes a close friend, sometimes a financial advisor, who know the real numbers. Everyone else gets a version of the truth that protects both the relationship and the person's privacy. This isn't dishonesty, it's boundary setting. And boundary setting, when it comes to money, might be one of the most underrated skills in personal finance. 10th, and this brings us to the bigger lesson buried inside this entire topic. Hitting $1 million teaches you that wealth isn't just a financial milestone. It's an emotional and social one too. The number in your account might change instantly, but your relationships, your identity, and your sense of safety around other people, those take much longer to catch up. That's the real story behind Nobody Knows $1 Million. It's not about hiding for the sake of hiding. It's about protecting the life you built, the relationships that matter, and your own peace of mind, all while carrying a secret that most people will never fully understand until they're standing in the exact same position. So here's the real takeaway from all of this. Reaching $1 million isn't the finish line people imagine it to be. It's actually the start of a completely new set of decisions. Who do you trust? What do you share? How do you protect not just your money, but your relationships and your peace of mind? If there's one thing to remember from today's video, it's this. Silence, in this context, isn't about arrogance or dishonesty. It's about control. Controlling your story, your privacy, and the way money moves through your life, instead of letting other people's reactions dictate it for you. If this video gave you a new way of looking at wealth, privacy, and relationships, make sure you're subscribed, because we break down exactly this kind of real, unfiltered financial psychology every single week. Drop a comment and tell me, if you hit $1 million tomorrow, would you tell anyone? Be honest. This is Ron, and I'll see you in the next one.